Welcome back to our current series where I'm going inside the mind of narcissistic types with 12 of the most common tools of manipulation and abuse. Last week we discussed the first 5 techniques, including lying and denying, guilt, minimization, blame shifting, and invalidation. So if you haven't watched either previous video in this series, I suggest you do so because today we're taking a deep dive into 7 more of the most insidious tools used by narcissistic abusers so you can see what you need to see in order to get free. And right off the bat is the dangling carrot, which is a method of manipulation used by narcissists to induce a desired behavior by falsely promising future benefits or rewards, or by offering knowingly false hope. It's not uncommon for the narcissist to throw out lofty promises of financial success, grandiose fantasies, and claim they just need a little more time because they're on the brink of something big. It's this fear tactic. It's the fear of missing out, playing out before you. So if you continue to hear lofty promises, but no tangible changes are happening in reality, the dangling carrot technique is often to blame. In fact, I actually wrote a small poem right after I got free to describe the feeling you have as a victim, waiting on the dangling carrot to drop low enough for you to take a bite. Beware of empty words, spoken from clever lips and rolling off a golden tongue. Hollow and complacent, nothing ever grows within, just the false and fleeting hope of a fantasized bloom. And part of how the narcissist is able to accomplish the dangling carrot is through circular conversations, which is when the narcissist basically weaponizes a conversation in order to trap the victim in their own words, wear down the victim mentally and emotionally, and maintain a position of superiority. And as a survivor of years of these circular conversations, I can say they're not conversations at all. These conversations are more like an abyss of confusion and negativity until you're so worn down mentally and emotionally from literally hours of this going on that you concede to whatever the narcissist wants. You abandon all your personal boundaries and you accept all blame. Any blame necessary just to stop the maddening spiral. That is not a conversation. And Renee from covertnarcissism.com describes it like this. She says, "You never knew what the actual topic was going to be. It could be absolutely anything from teeny tiny, small to gigantically huge. One thing was always for certain though, he had been offended and we were going to hear about it. These conversations feel more like monologues from a dictator and they last just as long. Everyone else keeps their mouth shut. Why? Because over time we had all learned one of our rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Nothing you say will change the course. Nothing you say will turn it in a positive direction. The narcissist will unceasingly turn everything around and around, spinning forever in a bottomless pit of negativity. You find yourself defending everything you've ever done, said, or even thought. You're defending a look you had or a way you breathed. In the conversation, you feel like you just can't seem to keep with the topic at hand because it changes so fast. One minute you're talking about your frustration that he isn't helping with the yard work, and the next thing you're defending why you didn't cook dinner last night. It doesn't matter that he said that he wasn't hungry last night. It's simply ammunition against you." Whew. Now, Renee's explanation there is so accurate. And she actually goes on to provide an example that caused my spine to tingle when I read it, because I had experienced the exact same conversation, almost down to the letter, many times. And this is the conversation she laid out. Narcissist: I have asked you to tell me what I am doing wrong in our marriage and you won't tell me. Victim: I have told you many times why I'm frustrated. I'm done telling you. Narcissist: I have asked you to tell me right when it's happening. I think the problem really is that you say yes and yet you do no. What does that mean? You told me that you will point out things as they happen, and yet you don't do that. I have pointed them out at the time, and that didn't work. So I tried an hour later. That didn't work. I tried the next day. That didn't work. I've tried everything I know how to try. So now I'm done trying. So you said yes, and you're doing no. You do that with lots of things. Now what are you talking about? I'm talking about the windows in the house. You still haven't gotten those done, but you said you would. Do you feel like you're going insane yet? And that was just a tiny example of these maddening circular conversations. But the narcissist can also swing fully to the opposite side and use stonewalling or the silent treatment as weapons of manipulation, where they will literally, utterly refuse to communicate or express any emotion. Yet the narcissist will also often hold the victim responsible for not reading their mind. It's a lose-lose situation. But the narcissist employs this strategy as a dismissive defense mechanism and as means of increasing their sense of superiority over the victim. Think of it like a king retiring to his chambers where only he may summon conversation or connection. It's an attempt at gaining additional control by making the victim feel inferior, insecure, and passively punished. The use of critical humor is also not uncommon, where the narcissist will intentionally belittle and condescend using an insult disguised as or accompanied by a compliment, by phrasing a critique as a joke, or negging, which is where the narcissist makes a deliberate backhanded compliment or otherwise flirtatious remark. And the narcissist does this for a couple reasons. First, to undermine the victim's confidence and increase the victim's sense of need of the narcissist's approval. And it's also to subtly modify the victim's behavior indirectly so that they can gain more compliance, not submission, compliance, while simultaneously presenting deniability if ever confronted on it. See how sneaky it is? And here's an example of each to look out for in conversation. That's what you're wearing? That dress looks great. Really detracts from your hips. That's usually not your color, but it looks nice on you. That haircut really does great at slimming your face. Or, I was pleasantly surprised with dinner since you usually have so much trouble. Covert narcissists also love to use victimization as one of their manipulative tools by presenting a series of stories or situations that paint them in a weak and victimized light. And here's why. So the victim feels sorry for them, is more inclined to trust them, and often feels compelled to help, fix, or save them, cling to them. Essentially, victimization is a tool that welcomes and encourages enmeshment, where the victim becomes responsible for the narcissist's emotional stability or lack thereof. And Renee from Covert Narcissism illustrates this perfectly using the simple story of a dishwasher. She says, "One time I was trying to explain to my husband how his quickness to be offended hurt those around him. I told him that he gets so quickly offended over things that shouldn't even be offensive in the first place. He asked for an example, so I reminded him about the time when I had asked our son to help him empty the dishwasher. This offended him so badly that he stormed out the room and closed himself in the guest bedroom for 45 minutes. When I finally went up to talk to him, he told me that the incident had communicated to him that I thought he was an idiot, incapable of emptying the dishwasher by himself. I asked him why that thought would even cross his mind. He did not remember this incident, but explained how he could see himself reacting that way. He added, "You know how much I struggle with feeling worthless? I was treated very poorly by my dad, you know." This repeatedly becomes an excuse, a justification, and a hindrance all at once. The attitude is, "You have to get off my back because I struggle with self-esteem and your words are damaging me more. You need to feel sorry for me because I was treated so badly as a child. I don't have to fix this or get better because it really isn't my fault." Whew, now these getting under your skin a little bit. I know, they're really sneaky, really insidious. And this next technique specifically can create a lot of unexpressed anger within the victim when the narcissist feigns ignorance when confronted on an issue or behavior. In other words, the narcissist will act like they were unaware of the boundary. They were unaware of the severity of the violation. And in doing so, the narcissist manipulates the victim or confronting party into questioning the confrontation or doubting the legitimacy of the issue they're trying to convey to the narcissist. And the narcissist can accomplish this using many of the tools we've already discussed in this series. And in conversation, feigned ignorance can sound like, "How could I know that was your boundary? You never told me that would bother you. How was I supposed to know that would upset you? It was just an accident. I don't know why you're making it a big deal. And that's never bothered you before. Why now?" And finally, the narcissist may even bring others into the situation to serve as their allies against you, the victim, through triangulation. And this is where the narcissist uses interactions between the other persons that they have convinced to belittle the victim, attack the victim, manipulate the victim, essentially into changing their behavior or abandoning their boundaries, or just to stir up an internal jealousy within the victim to make them vie for the attention of the narcissist. Regardless of the ultimate motive behind triangulation, it's a toxic and twisted method of manipulation that should not be tolerated. Choosing trusted people in your life to hold you accountable and help you grow is one thing. Being harassed and attacked by persons not in your relationship about your relationship is another thing entirely. So, I know it's been an intense series, but I sincerely hope that you saw what you needed to see over the last 2 weeks so that you can choose the right relationships, the loving, life-giving relationships that you deserve, and run from the wrong ones. So be sure you're subscribed to this channel and have your notifications turned on, because next week we are totally switching gears and getting ready for the holidays with some festive fetish fun.